You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 28th, 2024 meeting of the LaPorte County Council and Commissioners Workshop. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Just so you know it's live.
Good evening. We're going to call the joint County Council Commissioner Workshop together to order. At this time, we're going to have a discussion about a time management system presented by HR and payroll. And then we're also going to talk with EMS is going to talk about Stryker, a program for maintaining a lot of their products. So at this time, I think HR flipped a coin and they're going first. Oh, do we want to do, we don't need to do roll call, do we?
No, we have 4 people here.
No, we're good. We're good.
It's a workshop.
Right.
You can have 1 people if you want.
And we've had that before. And then we get put minutes. Mr. Keel is now on.
We have Mr. Keel and Mr. Mrazinski on. I'm not sure who Galaxy S23 Ultra is, but
Hi.
hi.
Hi. Hello.
Wow, it's a packet.
Sent earlier. This stuff could have been sent earlier. This stuff could have been sent earlier.
Anybody else?
We're not.
I don't just, but
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen. Monique Thomas, HR Director.
Good evening.
Mary Moore, payroll administrator. Sorry.
We're just here before you guys to introduce a project that we've been working on for the past 9 months. Like a baby, we're ready to birth it. So it's a time and labor HRIS proposal that we've been working on with vendors. We've been working with different department heads, different administrators for those departments. And we just want to come before you guys to present what we're requesting and maybe get some chatter, maybe have some discussion about us moving into a time and labor tracking system for LaPorte County employees. At this time, why do we need an HRIS payroll system? I'm gonna let Mary discuss.
So I'm not going to go into great detail on how long it takes me to do payroll. It's a long time because it's manual. So it's going to save a lot of time where I can focus on other things that has to do with payroll instead of the continuous of preparing the attendance sheets, sending them out, and then getting them right back to start payroll, to process payroll. The accuracy as well, because they'll be, it'll all be on one system. It'll all be there. And it's not going to be handwritten, brought in, and then, happen to be caught or not caught. Accountability on the employees, because the people we have talked to, they can actually see what their paycheck's going to look like, what their hours are prior to them being able to approve. So they're going to see that and be able to say, hey, I'm missing some overtime hours, instead of waiting until they get their check and then I have to tell them I can't do anything until next pay. Streamline for the payroll for all departments, because then I can talk to them and we're looking at the same thing. So if there is an issue right now, they don't get to see what I get to see and I can't see what they're seeing. So it'll allow us to better communicate on that. And then the State Board of Accounts records retention. Right now, whenever they need something, sure, I can look up the pay stubs, but that's not going to tell me if they missed hours because they were sick, FMLA, or anything like that. So then I have to go back into boxes to look for timesheets, and it's just very time consuming to do that as well. So it cuts into being able to do payroll stuff. So it would really, really help with a lot of time and saving money on that.
Could you real quickly explain how someone tracks their time now?
It's kind of an honor system. I mean, really, I don't know how each department does it, but I know for me in the auditor's office, we have an Excel sheet we have on our desktop. And then if we miss, we put on there that we missed. If we didn't, if we took 2 hours for a doctor's appointment and we don't have any more doctor point, we have to put that on there. So it's kind of an honor system,
And
really.
it comes from all departments, or is it handwritten?
It's handwritten. So I print out, I do prepare a timesheet, which is what your salary is. But if you miss days, if there's overtime, if there's straight time, then that's all handwritten in, added, and then sent to me. So.
Right. Thank you.
And the time is usually kept on a service record, which is kept by the administrators in each department or the department head for each department. They usually keep track of how many vacation days, FMLA, sick time that the employee has, which is on a service record. You have your departments like 911, EMS, who keep theirs on a spreadsheet as well, but Mary doesn't get that. Only time I get it is when an employee transfers from department to another department. So that's the time tracking system when it comes to that. Some departments do use record of timesheets. In my department, that's what we use, timesheets. We have actually, right, what time we come in, what time we go out for lunch, what time we come back, what time we leave for the day. So those are usually kept in a timesheet. I keep a copy, my employee keeps a copy in their own records.
But payroll, you don't have a list of how many vacation days somebody has,
No,
or
I
how
don't.
many they use, so you're not tracking that, you're just marking down what they marked down.
Correct. So I go by whatever is on that timesheet. That's why if there's an issue and an employee calls and says, well, I worked 20 hours of overtime, I don't know that. I only have what is written down, and that's what I have to go by.
Got it.
If from an HR's perspective, when it comes to time, when having a time and labor system is an easy way for us to track and manage benefits, insurance, how many workers' comp, FMLA, those types of things can be managed in a system so we know who is receiving a paycheck, who isn't. So, and it's easier for us to do open enrollment. With that, we can do away with our American Fidelity system. That way we have a one-stop shop where we can keep track of all benefits from the time an employee starts to the time they retire. So from the time that they fill out an application, that application information gets pulled over into our system. Once the employee is selected, then all that information filters over into our system, and then it goes into the payroll system, and it keeps on till the employee retires. So that part is easy. Accuracy, I mean, self-explanatory, is probably more accurate than what we keep now, because everybody that walks away seems to have 60 sick days and you're paying them out $75 per sick day. So.
Definitely. Mr. Yagowski, do you have a question? Well, there's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I believe it's a really good idea. We've been talking about this since time cards, time clocks. But then this is a truly big savings. Technology changes, and I don't have a problem with this, but then you should be coming to us and saying, how should we be able to eliminate a job? Because this is going to eliminate something. It's going to, because you have at least X amount of hours not doing anything you have to worry about in the past. I know how this stuff works. I have systems that have been set up in employment. We need to get technology. With technology, we need to utilize it for the county in its own benefit. And that's where you didn't sell me on this whole part, because I know it's going to work. But I'm going to tell you, though, as a councilman, I'm going to try to find ways to make it work both ways, even though you may not see that. Second of all, we've gone through this numerous times in the past. How do we change the ruling? Because there's a ruling that you cannot make elected officials do this.
Well, that's according to the State Board of Accounts statement that we put in here. It says records may be maintained showing hours. It says the State Board of Accounts shall require that records be maintained showing which hours were worked each day by officers and employees. So it is.
But they get paid where they work 1 hour, they get paid where they work 8 hours.
And yes.
How do we, the county, enforce this?
The time will already be kept in the system for salaried employees, so they won't have to worry about maneuvering their time unless they take a sick day or a vacation day. That time will.
I'm going to kind of translate a little bit. You're talking elected officials.
I just said that.
Yes.
I said 3 times elected officials.
She's
I
talking
know.
officers.
She's talking
elected
officers and employees.
I know, and that's why
Yeah, elected officials, I think, are kind of off the
they're
table at this based off what I'm reading from the SBOA.
I just want to make sure that if everybody understands that elected officials are not included in this conversation.
Right, but their time still will be in the system and automated, just like
They don't have to give you the time. They don't have to punch in.
But it's still be just like an 8 to 4 in there, just
I even put
basic,
keys in
just so that way they'll transfer over to payroll. Just like you guys, as you get paid from the system as well.
Not
So
disagreeing.
that'll
This is
be
not a negative. This is not a negative program. We've gone through this 1,000 times. You cannot make elected officials go and enter anything.
no, that's not what we're arguing.
That's what I am.
That's what I was gonna say. So we don't have to have a time card for like a punch clock for everybody. So if you're a salaried employee and you're in the office, like let's say Monique, the auditor's office, the recorder's office, you can just have your schedule. You work Monday through Friday,
8 to 4.
and then you're gonna have your total hours, right? So it's kind of the same way with the elected officials. What I get right now is your salary every 2 weeks, and that's it. There's no time in there, and that's how it would work in there. We wouldn't have time set for you guys. You wouldn't have to clock in or clock out. It would just be that you're a salaried employee making this much every 2 weeks or for the year, so that you wouldn't have to clock in, clock out, or anything like that.
I totally agree. And again, they have keys to go in the back doors. They don't have to go through any systems. They don't have to punch their computer at the beginning of their shift. They don't have to have any record of them being there.
Correct. And with at least 2 of the systems, we can set it up that way to where there is no punch in, punch out for like you guys. You guys would just still get your salary because you are salaried without a time.
Good.
So the last question is, so what of the 3 programs, we just got this, of course, we got to do some reading on this. Of the 3 programs that you have out there, which one is, okay, what's the one that would be where I'd have to log in or use the key door entrance? They're all 3 that way?
What do you? Well, I'm not.
There's different programs. You can either punch in, you can clock in.
Yeah,
There's 20, I can tell you all the things that you can do.
Right.
Which
So
one of these are the ones where, in other words, are we going to get everybody coming in a door? Are we going to get them when they first go and punch in their
yeah,
computer
there'll be
that morning?
Computer in the morning. Computer in the morning. Then you
All
have
3
your
programs.
facilities out, and like juveniles, so those will have clock ins, like iPad or something, where they go in with a special code and put their time in. So that way those will be recorded there, or they can do it by the computer. So you'll have a universal way of clocking in, but some of the departments still want their because they already have like tablets where they clock in already. So it'll just be a.
And my last question is, in that I plug tab in my computer, so I leave and I just leave my computer, don't tab out, whatever. So then I can catch the same individuals going out the door. You can have like a backup system.
Oh, I'm not
If
sure
they
what you.
fob, if they're fobbing in and out of doors,
Right,
it
right.
would
The
be-
fobs won't be connected. I don't think we talked about implementing the fobs with
That's
this
what I like to see, a full program. If we're going to do it, because I can see all the people how to get through the system, I would want a system with both, just myself, because I know how this stuff works.
Right.
Right.
How people
just like
try to
at
manipulate it.
the steel mill where you work, they have a clock in system. So it'll be the same way you have a
I have
what you
2.
call
I have
that?
gate. I have gate and that. That's why I'm asking
Yeah.
for both.
Yeah. So that's what he's saying.
So some of the
Something to
departments have
show.
required
I
thumbprint.
asked the question.
Right. But what he's trying to say, like, so for the auditor's office, I just keep using that because we're there. If I was to leave and I forgot to clock out on my computer, how are they going to know I left and what time? Sure, it's
When
going to show
payroll-
there's a missed punch.
Right. It's gonna
But
show.
then I can say, well, I left at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
When I really left at 3.
You
So
can-
that's what he's
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
He wants to
I
know
want a
what the
backup
backup is to show that I
Backup
actually left
system,
at 3 and not
Well,
5.
that will become between the administrator and the employee.
No. I want your program to do 2 things.
It
I
can-
want to be able to use the computer, but I also
Yeah.
wanted to marriage it with fobbing out.
Well, right now people don't fob when they come in.
Well, if we're going to make a rule, we're going across it, then we say that's what you're going to do.
Well, we can't implement. We can't say that right now.
I can say the council can, the commission can ask for this.
But we're just here to implement. We're
I know,
just here to talk about it. We're just here to have a discussion
We're
about
not,
it.
Adam? All right.
So Mark, kind of your answer to how I'm used to handling that is that's up to the supervisor at
Yes.
that point to audit the no punch, right?
Yes.
To deal with that. Generally, it just punches them out. You go to the default time, but it'll indicate no punch, and that supervisor, whether that be a director, whether that be elected official, is required then to go audit what's going on here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, a question for Ms. Moore, Ms. Thomas. So to clarify, you wouldn't propose having salaried employees clock in or clock out?
No.
Is that
No,
That's not
it's
what you
just
said.
elected
We can do
officials.
that. Yeah,
It
just
was
the
Elected officials.
okay? So salaried employees who weren't elected officials would still clock in and clock out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think, Mark, to a lot of the stuff you were mentioning, I think that's more the tactical stuff that we'd get towards as long as we have, when it comes down to down selecting to a system, right? Is what's it capable of? That way we can then look at what the full package is. I think as,
Packages, that's why we didn't want to, we just want to kind of streamline, so you guys have the packages in front of you. You can go through, look at them, read them, whenever you have leisure to understand it a lot better. Because if we stood here, we'd be here for 3 days trying to explain each.
So I guess
Exactly.
then Mark asked for time purposes, does one of them do dual purpose? Where you can do log in on a computer and find?
Punch in. Yes, they do have the capability. It depends, but the department has to pick which one that they want.
Do you want both though?
Yeah.
yes, we'd have to look at that. So if you had your choice,
None that do that.
So do you really think that a lot of the employees are coming in the morning and they're turning their computers on and leaving their computers on all night?
I don't think this isn't a gotcha for the
No,
employees.
no. I'm not saying a gotcha. I'm saying I really don't think that employees are leaving their desks with the computers open. So I don't believe that we would have that big of a problem because everyone signs out at the end of the day.
Right.
Because the last thing you want is to leave your computer exposed with email and everything else. So
Your computer times out anyway, doesn't it?
It just sleeps.
Yeah, that's well. Oh,
But it's still active.
you don't have to
still
log back
active.
in after when you.
It will time you out. It
Okay,
will time
yeah.
you out.
Right. So
so
this Michigan City uses a very, very similar program where everybody has to come in and log in a computer and
yeah.
So the discussion for us here is, right, because we talked about like time savings for you, Mary, but at this point, we're not looking at a reduction of an FTE for anything there to administration, and that's not going to be the big savings anyways. What it comes down to is the efficiency and the tracking, both on hours worked and what work is being done, as well as things like those sick days.
PTOs.
Everybody's got 60 days of sick time when they retire and things like that. Those accurate record keeping is where that savings would come from. It's whether or not, and I'm only, excuse me if I don't have all the figures in front of me, but I saw one here that was about $185,000 a year. Would it be an annual savings as $185,000 per year, year over year? And it's that kind of argument that we would have to go through and determine, is it going to be of value to the county?
Yes.
But if you budget season in 23, talking about 24, I think you'll recall that I was probably one of the first people to ask, what are we going to do about this? Because the archaic paper system and the inaccuracies and holes in it that can come from such a system, in my mind, has to go away.
But I'd like, just let's move forward because we got other people that need to talk. But
I have one quick question. Of all three systems, do they all work with
wow.
Lao?
Yes. So they all will work with Lao on the financial side of everything. So they do integrate with Lao on the financial side, yes.
good.
And basically, we just want to, in the time frame that we have, because we're looking at a launch of July 1st of 2025, we kind of want to start looking at some things. Like I said, just a discussion and start talking what type of kinks we can work out, what it is we need to do to come up with a system so that way we can move forward, because it does take time. We have census, we have to gather the information, we have a lot of background stuff that we have to do on our end before we launch the project. So we just kind of want to just get the discussion talking, get it moving, because we've been talking about it for the past 9 months. We've been meeting with vendors, so the last 3 vendors that we narrowed it down to, based on the number of employees as of 10/1, Paylocity, UKG, and ADP. Paylocity, as you can see, their annual fee, UKG, their annual fee, and the ADP annual fee
For the first year.
for the first year. But the ADP's out, that was for,
Well, the ADP's for the first year, and that is
Yeah.
too because the implementation phase, and then the next year it would go. Well, ADP goes up, but Paylocity goes down.
yeah.
And then with these, and just so you know, with the quotes as well, and we have it in there, the only one who actually offers time clocks is Paylocity. So some of that quote is for the time clocks, and what it is we lease them. So if it breaks something happens, they come out and fix it or they replace it, it's part of that fee. The other two, they don't offer time clocks, so we would have to purchase our own, and then we would have to pay for the software in order for it to work. So they may show a little less, but there's more fees on the backside of that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm good. You good?
Commissioner,
question?
Rich, Connie, Joe, if you're here.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Thomas for bringing this to our attention. It's time we move the county into the 21st century, and I appreciate her efforts.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I add one more thing too with the HR part of it and onboarding? So with this, when they fill out the application and they start going through things, they have to fill out paperwork. And it's gonna prompt them with these systems to fill it out, and it won't let them move to the next process. Right now, with the way we have it, there's times where it's the day before I have to process, I'm still waiting for a packet because a new employee hasn't brought in all their paperwork. So this is gonna eliminate that as well, to where now I'm not trying to rush to get an employee in and get their hours in and, back and forth with the department. So this will also help to save time and accuracy with that as well.
Definitely. Thank you. Lot to talk about.
Thank you.
So what's the next step? We would,
Well, our recommendation is to go with the Paylocity program because of the, they offer the taxes, the 1095 filings, all of that is all included in the fee, so we won't have to worry about that.
Right, and they're the only one that integrates with American Fidelity, where we can eventually go to just Paylocity and not have to have American Fidelity anymore. Paylocity is the only one that offers that.
So realistically, if there's any administration fees that go with American Fidelity, that savings comes off the
Yes,
top.
correct.
Okay.
And
So-
we're,
What was the drop? What are we gonna save on the second year? It's gonna go from the 263,957 to what on the second year?
223,957.96. So there's a 40,000 one-time implementation fee.
And then does the cost go back up, or
No,
does
no,
it
it
stays
stays.
at that?
That stays.
And then whatever the cost of living is from year to year? Okay.
so
at
then,
this time, we were just asking, and just for appropriated from the ARP funds, if there's any funds left, if we can move, if we do decide to move forward with this project, if that could be where the funds
so
would.
this would be something that the commissioners would need to pass at their meetings and approve the vendor that
We
they're
can-
doing,
yeah.
and sign the and then come back to us for the funding, so.
Which means
So we could do it on our November meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, excuse me, this is Darlene. Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Has anybody talked to WOW about what the fees are gonna be with them on integration? Because they'll up my, maintenance fees and
But I have it up here.
I don't have money to pay them.
Is that something you can, between the
Yes.
three of
Yes.
you and
Yeah.
Darlene, you two and Darlene, you can
Yeah.
find out tomorrow and maybe send us an email on that?
absolutely.
Let
Absolutely.
us know, cause I imagine that fee's gonna be there regardless of who the vendor is,
Right.
if they integrate
Correct.
with Lao, so, alright,
I'll call them.
good to know.
Thank you.
So we'll add this to our, depending on what the commissioners do on our next agenda, so, thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time we're gonna have EMS.
Congratulations. Well, thank you.
Provider of the Year.
Yep, big kudos to our crews for everything they do. He's got it right there.
And
Front
a-
page.
And a big shout out for first responder, National
First Responder Day.
To
Yeah.
all the first
Yeah.
responders out there, we wish them well and
Well,
thank you
thank
for
you.
what they do.
I think we can make the Michigan City thing pretty quick. I've talked to most of you, talked with the commission. I talked with Jay here just a few minutes ago. I think we're ready to go to bid. I think that's the next step. I've given you guys the floor plan layout, the site layout, and then kind of the landscape, just so you guys can get a feel of what everything looks like. But all the official drawings are done. So I think next step is just to get on their November 7th agenda to go out to bid, if everyone's okay with that.
Any questions or comments? You got
One quick one. So I'm looking at this
No, this is the bids for the EMS.
For the EMS,
I'm sorry,
right?
I seen that striker at the top. I thought, I'm sorry. I'm back up. I'm sorry.
right? The building layout's great, right? We've talked about this a number of times.
Sure.
And that's the way that I see that everything's set with the parking lot on the double lot that we now have, right? Is there any possible way that we can squeeze this out to where we're not having to find temporary housing for EMS? Or is this based
I
on?
would love that to be the case, but I don't know the answer to that.
It would almost, we had a brief conversation about taking half the EMS, the bays off,
Right.
parking ambulances outside. That would be the only way that it might work. We'd have to build a temporary wall.
Or, yeah, I think I use this analogy
we'd
to
have
some
to
of you.
Sit down and.
You drop right now, I'm pretty good, probably got you. Construction, not my thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Stick around, stay the rest of the meeting.
Yeah,
Yep.
We'll
I
talk about it.
briefly remember a conversation early on dealing with that, but it was gonna like maybe double the cost.
Okay.
But, we kind of have a temporary spot secured. I'm not 100% thrilled with the location. Brian and I are gonna kind of maybe go look, see what's out again tomorrow. It's on Huron Street behind Lighthouse Place. Some of you've seen it. We've talked about it. That's a long ways north. That is a long ways north.
We've gone through a long list of buildings.
We have, and I'm gonna look again. I just
Right.
if that's all there is, that's all there is. I would love to stay where we're at. To your point, but I just don't know if that's doable.
Right.
Ideally, yeah, I think that would be the ideal situation. But
No, just being that this is on the record, right? Is it worthwhile talking about? So appreciate it.
I think it's a good question to ask.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what the answer would be.
And maybe that's up to the vendor when we sign out to bid,
Sure.
right? Hey, come up with a solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure we are all talking the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to follow the floor plan. It doesn't tell me it doesn't quite show me the before and after. Are we moving the building it all over?
Yes.
Which I thought we were.
So
Therefore,
yeah, so where the
I want the public to know.
this probably isn't exactly to scale, but on your second page where the red line is for the setbacks, let's say that's the existing property line. I think it's a little bit bigger than that, but
Okay.
that west piece is the additional piece. So moving it all the way to the west so that we're coming out further away from the intersection.
So we're flipping the bays. Am I correct?
No,
No. Oh,
just
so the bays look this
just
way.
shifting west
Bays
So
are on the
it
same
just
side.
goes a little further.
to the setback off that property line.
Got it. I just it was a little awkward trying to place it.
Sure.
And I want to make sure people in the audience are hearing it so that they can also try to mentally place it in the same location. Yeah.
Mark?
So, as I look at this drawing, it doesn't, it's something you and I, and the previous administrator talked about, actually, instead of the alley, because the alley, it'll go into the alley, but put a road back there, an actual street back there, so we have full access to get out onto Wabash.
Sure.
That's not in their
I
drawing.
think that I'm assuming would be a Michigan City street thing, but we have
Oh,
to-
we would build an alley. You can make the alley as big as you want. We pave
Okay.
our part of it. City pays their part.
Okay.
Instead of having just an alley at this point, we need to make
an
it
actual
so.
roadway.
Yeah.
We'd have to go to their traffic commission or something.
I would imagine
Yeah.
they have to go to their
Yeah.
Board of Works.
Board of
Board of
Works.
Works.
Board of
Okay.
Works.
We can add that into the,
We'd probably need to
Process.
build that into our,
I would think
Yeah.
it's the future. You want to be able
it's
to.
not very well maintained now, I can tell you that.
no, not at all, especially when you head west.
In my 20 years of being around, I've never seen anything done to it.
I understand. I just I don't want to go this far
Right.
and not do the full
Sure.
project.
Yeah,
Fire department used
It's-
to maintain it.
That was a good addition.
20 years ago. So
Longer than that.
it's not very wide. It makes things awful tight. So I would assume that may eat into our right of way a little bit, but that's fine. I mean,
Okay.
we need the turn radius.
Right.
So
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on.
okay, the striker side. I don't want to steal Pierce's thunder here. He's got a presentation for you. He sent me the kind of abridged PowerPoint here, so you guys can follow along with it. long and short of it is we had a conversation earlier this year that there is an FDA expiration on our medical equipment. Not 100% sure when that came to be, but nevertheless, our monitors are expired. We purchased those in 2015. Some are a little newer as we added another ambulance. Obviously, that was added to our fleet, but the bulk majority of our monitors are expired. It's on one of the sheets, and Pierce will go through all of that, so I don't want to steal too much of his thunder here, as he's got a nice presentation on it. But it's kind of a lease program to replace these and not have to front it all at once. And this goes for our Lucas devices, which are the CPR devices, our cardiac monitors, our cots, the power loads that load the cot into the ambulances, and our stair chairs. And our stair chairs, I mean, we never knew this was a thing. I mean, they open, they close, there's some wheels on it, they still work, we didn't replace them. Well, we have some that are probably 15 years old, just didn't know it expired. So he's got a little presentation here, and he can pronounce his last name for you. I'm not even gonna try.
Well, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Eric, for the introduction. So my name is Pierce Shabellock. I am the Stryker Emergency Care representative for Northwest Indiana and Southwest Michigan. So I cover the EMS department. I also work with the local fire departments. I've seen Randy before at the Healthcare Foundation. So reason for me being here today is to walk you guys through what's called the EMS Plus program. And so talking to Eric and Brian about their current needs with monitors and figuring out a program that may work for you guys brought us to this. This was actually a program that was introduced to Stryker by our customers. So we worked with our customers to create this program. And I don't think my clicker's working. Good old technology. There it goes. All right, we got it. So what they brought to us, and this was New Orleans Fire and Memphis Fire, is they brought to us kind of the struggles that they were dealing with from the pre-hospital space. And this is stuff that is as applicable to LaPorte as it is to Crown Point in Michigan, countrywide. These are kind of the struggles that these folks are facing. And so what they wanted to do is bring those things to us and try to figure out a program that we could use to solve some of those issues that folks were experiencing. So first and foremost is the FDA expected service life. So what this is, the equipment is tested to a particular age range per the FDA. And after that age range, any issue with the equipment the liability would then fall on the providers. So during the useful life, it would be on a case-by-case basis. However, Stryker tests their equipment. So the transport equipment, which would be power cots, power loads, that type of equipment would be tested to 7 years. And then the transport equipment would be 8 years. And so currently this shows what that is, and it makes it difficult for folks in Eric's position to be able to plan for the future because you're always having to rotate out equipment to stay current and make sure you're within that FDA expected service life. So they've brought that to us. They also brought inflation and price increases. So this is pretty standard among medical. However, it has increased drastically over the past few years. I mean, just like everything. From trucks to groceries to the price of a power cot. As you can see in 2014, the price versus now, it is unbelievable how much the price of this stuff has gone up. And so it makes it hard to budget and plan for the future because there's 1 to 2 price increases every year, ranging from 6% to 8% to 3%. And so it just makes it hard for folks to be able to plan for the future. Another piece that they're dealing with is liabilities and injuries. So at any time in the US, it's for EMS and fire workers, 10% of the workforce is going to be out due to injury, which I came from the neuro and spine side of Stryker's business, so brain and spine surgery equipment, and coming over, I thought that stat was a joke. I was like, there's no way that's true. And pretty much every customer I talk to says, yeah, we literally have about 10% of our folks right now out due to injury. So how do we make sure we have equipment? You guys do a great job of that with your power loads. How do we bring that into stair chairs? So a new product we have, it's a powered stair chair. So instead of having 2 folks lift a 500-pound patient up the stairs in a metal chair. We actually have a chair that drives itself up the stairs, again, to help prevent injury, keep folks safe as far as providers, and also keep patients safe. Finally, medical advancements and recruitment and retention. So another piece that makes it challenging for budgeting, figuring out the future, is with the FDA regulations surrounding new products. I can't come to Eric and say, hey, a new monitor is going to be coming out next year. We can't pre-sell or give any indication per the FDA that we can do that. And so when new technology that could make a difference in a patient's life does come out, again, it makes it really difficult to budget and plan for the future for that. And having those newer products and being able to have a environment where your people are going to be safe, patients are going to be safe, also helps to recruit top talent. So if I can go to a department where I know that I'm not going to have a back injury because of the equipment that they have, or I'm able to have a new cardiac monitor that provides better care to my patient, it does make it very desirable. And that's stuff that both Eric and Brian have said they would agree with as well. And so what we came up with is a program called EMS Plus. And so this is what we're presenting to you guys today. So this is a program that you can choose the term length. So it's 1 to 7 years. What we do is we take the cost, we spread that over the amount of years in the term that you would like to have it. So in this example, we have it for 6 years, and you pay that flat rate for the 6 years. And so you don't deal with any price increases. You pay today's price, and then that is broken out over payments over those 6 years. All your service is also included. So currently with the department, we have on average, it's like $75,000 to $80,000 they pay a year in service. All that would go away and all be included in this program. So everything would be included from that standpoint. This slide right here just shows the current age of the equipment that you guys have minus the stair chairs, just because we don't have those in the Stryker system due to their age. So we don't have those available, but as you can see, all the cardiac monitors are past that FDA expected service life. The Lucas devices will be coming on that soon. And then one thing that wasn't originally in this plan until I broke down the numbers was the power cots and power loads, just because we do have some newer ones in there. So what we do in this program is we do provide trade-in. So there's a significant amount of trade-in included in this. And then what we do is say, so for instance, Eric's concern was, hey, we want to be good stewards of our money financially. So is it worth including those type of things into this? And this is a probably difficult for most of you guys to see chart right here. But what this shows is just what we're expecting if we take the current price increases over the past 6 years and we continue to move that forward. You can see that the price of a power cot today versus a price of a power cot in 5 years is substantial. And so what this allows you to do is save a significant amount of money because we're not piecing things together and getting hit with that price increase over time. And so this is currently what we have on the table. So the EMS total would be 2.5 million, and then the yearly cost would be $506,000. And we also have on the other side, it's a POT total, and that would be a purchase over time. So what I did was put together what we would consider, hey, if you were to break this out over time and make this into more reasonable cash purchases over time, what this would look like from an expense standpoint. And so that's what I did here on this slide, which you guys should have available. And so you can actually see the total cost and how much money this would save you over time. To be transparent, the EMS Plus price is what you guys see down there. That would be the total cost if you bought that with cash today with all your discounts. Because this is a program, there is interest attached to that, which is why under the projected savings on this slide, I don't have 900,000 or something, because there is interest attached to that, which is why that number, if you just did the basic math, you're like, well, that probably doesn't seem right. But we want to be transparent. There is interest attached to that, so we want to be upfront about that and bring that in front of you. So still a savings of nearly $630,000. This slide right here, so another piece that would be part of this is, and let me know if I'm running over time, but this slide right here, another piece to that, this kind of just reiterates some of the things that I brought before you guys today. Another piece of that is we are also offering 40% off for any AED purchased within the coverage area, because you guys are a county-wide EMS agency. That means the entire county could benefit from that discount. And so any AED purchased within LaPorte County could get that discount. And you guys are a heart safe community, which is pretty awesome, or a heart safe city, with the goal of becoming a heart safe county, which has been an awesome thing that you guys have done in this city, county. It's pretty amazing. You don't see it very often. So congratulations to you guys for that. In that pricing for businesses, churches, anybody within the county would be something that's offered as part of this as a collective, so that it's something that you can then take to the folks within your community, and they can take advantage of that to help make this a safer place. So any questions? A lot of information here. So
Mark, go for it, Mark.
Okay.
You were there first.
You didn't even have to look.
Thank you, sir. I know I'm not a lawyer. I just played a lawyer when I'm a county councilman.
yeah.
The FDA expected service life, that's, just kind of BS answer. It should say FDA required life. It shouldn't say expected means it could be 7 more years past that. It doesn't tell, expected means a suggestion. You can say how you want to say it, but that's what you're doing. That's your sound program as, and that's the first thing I mentioned to him when he said expected. I go, that's not a true number then. They're not telling you that. If not, it would say FDA requires you to.
So, great question. So Stryker is required, from my understanding, to test their products to a minimum of 5 years, and we test them to 7 and 8 years, which is past what the FDA would actually require, which is why it would say the FDA expected service life, and Stryker would stand behind their products in those instances. From our legal side, I did ask that question, and there's currently litigation with a department that I cover in Southeast Michigan, because they did have a stair chair that the weld broke, and they tried to group in Stryker with that, and Stryker said, nope, this is past the FDA expected service life, which would be the coverage on those products.
Okay, second question is trade-in. So anything under 7 years, you're not taking as a trade-in, you're taking one.
No, we'll take it.
So what are you going to do with the stuff 7 years?
So we're global. And so what they'll do is take stuff because it's
Third world country?
FDA, and they will sell it somewhere else in the world.
Third world country.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Adam?
So when I was looking at that list, I see things like stair chairs and Lucas devices, which, if they were to fail, you end up with some liability on the county when it comes to the patient, right? And then I look at monitors, and monitors being the big heavy hitter, not understanding the role of EMS as well as I probably should sometimes. Does that monitor actually actively have a risk of injuring a patient or failure to where it would cause liability on the county?
So technically, yes. I know there is currently an issue at a department over closer to the Indiana-Illinois border where they actually had a monitor that is outside of the FDA expected service life that did not provide a shock from a competitive monitor.
So it does respond and do something to the patient in order for life-saving support.
Correct.
Okay, so that changes things now, right? First it's feedback, but now it actually acts on it. Whole nother story. Okay. But up to now, we were doing the comparison, right? And it saw a number, it would be 3.7 million versus 2.5 million. Is with the program for 2.5, total replacement would be to the 3.7. But up until earlier this year, Eric, and don't let me put words in your mouth, we were unaware of this FDA expected service life. So at this point, it wouldn't have been 3.6, it would have been replacements as identified or as needed. So it'd probably be some number less than that, correct? But now that we know about it, now we have to react to it. Okay.
What's the current price of a cardiac monitor, just off the top of your head?
$55,000.
55. And we got quite a few there.
18, 19.
That are yeah. So, and just to reiterate, the FDA recommendation or whatever we talked about, it's very similar in the fire service. So you got the NFPA 10-year rule on everything.
Yeah.
And so helmets, gloves, anything. And it's not an issue, and it could be that you got brand new gear, but if it's over 10 years old, the issue comes in as the liability. If somebody gets injured and that product fails and it's past that date that NFPA or in this case FDA says, the liability then falls on us even more because they're going to come after you. That's the caveat. I mean, it's a big gamble, but it's in the fire service. It costs the fire service hundreds of thousands of, probably millions of dollars, because we're returning turnout gear, helmets, gloves, boots, everything every 10 years, regardless of the condition. If they've ever been worn, 10 years, it's out the door. Mm-hmm. So
I just want to make sure I understand this as well.
Yeah.
So in 2025, we would get all new equipment. And then in 6 years or after 6 years, we got to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no
Or
staggering.
7 or 8 years.
But there's no staggering, you know what I'm saying? What we've been doing with the actual ambulances themselves. So we always have a, okay.
Well, I don't hear that, Michael. I think what they provided us was everything. But I think if you wanted a stagger, they could work a program where you take 3 categories and start it in 2025. 3 categories and start it in 2026.
We just didn't get presented that.
I don't think, right? I mean,
You could. You could.
right.
Yeah.
So I think they were giving you soup to nuts.
Okay.
But I think if, you can structure it another way also.
Okay.
Like we know that our Lucases, I mean, we got them from COVID and we got them, paid for by the Healthcare Foundation, that those don't really, those still have some life to them.
right.
Well, and we know that the monitors are out of life. So there would be a way should the council and commission decide to go another way, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely.
So the way I understood it, or presumed anyways, when I heard 6-year program or 6-year agreement, right? That's basically a renegotiation rate of what's for the next period that we negotiate at after 6 years. What's that cost going to be, and spread that out over the next negotiation window. Is that correct, Mr.?
Yep. Okay. So yeah, it would be whatever you guys would deem necessary as far as part of this deal, and then at the end of that 6 years, you would still have another year on your power cots and a year on your monitors to act, because then that would be 7 and 8 years. So it would give you some time to come up with a decision on what you guys want to do moving forward.
We have a question online. Justin?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks. A question for Mr. DiMartino. Can you kind of elaborate on what that liability looks like? I mean, it does seem kind of wasteful just automatically to get rid of a piece of equipment at the end of 7 years if it may be in, pretty good condition.
Sure.
How big a risk is that for us?
Well, I mean, the liability would be such that if it was within the service life and there was a failure of the machine, there would be a potential products liability claim against Stryker. If it's outside the service life, we would still be a party along, but they would be a party against us, and then our liability would be capped to the Indiana Tort Claims Act, which is $700,000 as we sit here today. Don't know what is happen in the next few years. So that's really the difference. If it failed within the service life and we've been getting our maintenance in a contract, we could point the finger to Stryker and say, hey, this is a products issue. It's not a maintenance issue on our end, or a use issue. So that answer your question?
Yeah, no, we're self-insured, correct? So we would be out the 700,000 completely on ours.
We're self-insured up to our current SIR's 500. So we would pay, if somebody died, we would have to pay the 5 and the carrier would pay the 2.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Yagowski.
So because we didn't know this, is there anybody beside your company that would say, okay, I'll take this 7-year product, I'll check for the welds, and I'll give it another 2-3 years? Is there anybody that's doing that currently?
So there would
I'll do overall.
There would be people that service them, but I don't know that anybody
Warranties them?
Yeah, could warranty it outside of the actual manufacture of it.
I don't see why not, 'cause that's what people do. They're always in a program to sell something, whether they have their own liability if they would.
We could talk after though. Maybe you and I should.
Yes, sir.
No, appreciate the
He
question.
just retired, so he needs a job.
I did job.
Okay, nice.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none? Well, I guess your next step would be going to the commissioners and getting this approved before it comes back to us, and whatever they decide how they want to structure it, as Mr. Yagowski said. And so,
Great.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys very much for the time and the questions. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That concludes our workshop. We're gonna take a break.
You get 10 minutes.
10-minute break.